everyone, and welcome to our third episode of Red, Right, and True, where you're going to hear all the truth all the time. And we have a very special announcement, which we're going to make in a minute. First, I want to introduce my co-hosts. We have Joe Curry.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
We have, of course, the unknown podcast or
Why
Patriot
don't we try
Box.
the right name that we use for this show? The Patriot
It's
Box.
the
The
Patriot Box.
Patriot
Look at him.
Box.
What else could he be?
And our guest tonight is John Riccatoni, who we're going to speak to. He's running for a political office, so we can't wait to hear what he has to say. But first, for the announcement. Is everybody ready?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so our very first show, we had a special guest who's a friend of mine, Mark White, who's formerly of the Spin Doctors. And he was a great guest, and he just loved being on it so much that he has agreed to be on our show from next week. He's going to be our full-time guest, and then going forward, he's going to have a segment every week on our podcast. So we are so happy for him to join our team. So that's the announcement.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting segment. We're actually going to workshop to name it, but basically we have that. We're going to have a logo for it. So stay tuned. It's going to be very, very interesting, very, very fun as well.
It's going to be a funny segment because if you follow him on Facebook, you know how funny he is on Facebook as far as making fun of the liberal white woman going crazy with her nose rings and everything else, and his comments are hilarious. But I said, Mark, you could do anything you want. So we're boxing a name. We're thinking of it, Box. We're thinking of maybe Mark's Remarks, but I'm going to let Mark figure it out. And we're going to get right to our first issue of the day, which I'm going to let Joe Curry take the ball on that.
Yes, we have with us today John Riccatoni. It's Riccatoni?
Yes, sir.
Okay, welcome aboard. And just let a little know about, so you're a 20-year NYPD officer, and you're current president of the Community Education Council, fighting for safer streets, enforcing safer streets, stood up for school safety, championed for cleaner neighborhoods. All fantastic. Now, you are running for office, is that correct?
I am, sir.
And what office would that be?
It's going to be District 47 for Assembly in Brooklyn, New York. On
In
the Republican.
Brooklyn. No, so what is going on in the city right now? There's so much like that I'm hearing from my Instagram feeds versus what I'm hearing from the news. You live there. So could you give us the scoop, in your opinion, on what's happening in Brooklyn right now?
Brooklyn changed drastically in regards to, it looks like worse than a third world country. There's litter
No.
everywhere. There's illegal vendors everywhere in front of banks with stuff on the floor that people find in the backyard and they sell it. There's a lot going on.
Well, we mean stuff on the floor. Is that drugs or?
No, it's actually like clothes that people find in in garbage cans or toys, and then they resell it. Even food. So there's certain people that go around and look for the stuff, and then they just put it on the floor in front of the TD Bank, and they try to sell it.
Well,
So it's illegal vendors.
Also, what's going on in the school district? Because I saw you were on the Education Council. Like, I know I worked in the school system as a teacher in Fresh Meadows, which was actually District 26, which is like the best district in the city. So what's going on with the kids there? Because I know that even the kids in the best school district had to take public transportation, many of them, to get to the school. How does that work? Or, what's going on with that as far as you're concerned?
Well, safety-wise, a lot of people that are taking public transportation, even the students, there's a lot of homeless and emotionally disturbed people on the buses and trains.
Exactly.
And it's very dangerous for them. So that's something that I would want to concentrate on for the safety of children and, parents and workers.
Now, with the concentration on that with the homeless, basically it's been that for years, especially when they let out all the folks that were mentally disabled. And the big thing lately in the city is trying to address that, take that. What ideas have been floating around to try to combat this problem?
Well, they would have to bring it back where somebody gets interviewed and they feel that the person is a risk to themselves or somebody else. They should go into a psychiatric ward and be evaluated for more than 72 hours, and then take it from there, because they're just releasing people, and sometimes they become violent. And also the Thrive money that de Blasio had in regards to getting help for the people and the homeless, that went missing, and that's the problem
So
that
a
we
lot
need
of
to
that-
find out.
So I guess that was probably millions and millions.
Yeah,
and millions.
oh,
And you
definitely.
were a former police officer, so you.
And again,
Yes.
our new mayor, he was worried about everyone's civil rights. Unfortunately, 26 people or more died because they weren't able to take care of themselves, and they froze to death on the streets. And that doesn't even, we talk about the 26 who died. Do you know how many more people ended up with frostbite, lost ears, tips of ears, fingers, toes? That doesn't even get reported, because if we actually reported all of that, it would be horrific, the carnage that's out on the street. And these are people who are just not able to take care of themselves.
And I saw videos on Instagram and all, of course, they don't show it on the main news, but of garbage piled high, and then the shoveling was just encasing the cars in. In other words, this system was already in place. Mandani just had to kind of manage it. And what is he going to do when he's trying to create a program? He can't even maintain programs that already are in place. What's going on in Brooklyn with the garbage, John?
The garbage is really horrendous. It wasn't being picked up for like weeks because of the snowstorm, but that's still neither here or there. Like, you still have sanitation workers that need to concentrate on the garbage. The rats are like the size of cats. It's
Oh my
really
God.
horrible. Like, you can see the holes when you're walking on the street. You see the holes of the burrows, and they're all connected, even in the park. It's really concerning and disgusting what's going on. And every time I put a 311 call in regards to the rats, they close it out.
Now, what I'm curious about that is basically it's not the first time New York has ever had a snowstorm. And obviously, that this has been one of the worst winters we've had in a long while. However, do you think it's a breakdown in the system and the sanitation department that they couldn't get the snow away and made room for the government? Do you feel that it might have been the Mondami administration interfering with that?
Leadership is leadership. And, people are going to do as little work or as much work as they're expected to do, depending on who your leader is. I mean, that's just my opinion. I'm not from New York City. I'm blissfully from Long Island. But what is your opinion on that?
I would also like to retract on the fact that Mayor Madani didn't do what Mayor Adams did. So with the homeless encampments, they would have police officers go over to the location and, tell them that you have to remove yourself from the cold, and that's what they would do. Madani said that he wanted to keep the homeless encampments wherever they were, didn't care how cold it was, and now all of a sudden he retracted because 26 people passed away.
Very, very interesting on that. And basically, it was a safety factor. And I guess, as a former policeman, it must be frustrating where you see people that need help and you can't help them because of a mandate that doesn't make sense.
Correct.
Also, another thing is about subway crime. Subway crime, basically, because a lot of the homeless went down into the subways, there's been a lot more subway crime. And what do you feel the safety of the subways is under this administration, where it's going to go under this administration, and where it was under the Adams administration?
I really hope that there's going to be more police officers at the locations, more visible, doing checks, going into the train station, making sure everything's fine. We just had a death not too long ago in Coney Island, the train station. They set the lady on fire, which was illegal. That actually put the lady on fire.
I saw that video.
And that was a horrendous and disgusting act that nobody should ever go through. And what we need is more police officers out there. And if I'm elected to assembly, I'm going to make sure that I have some kind of support in regards to that.
Now, what motivation are you? Because basically, a lot of officers that are of retirement that want to just cash out are leaving. Other officers are being wooed away from other states. What do you think would be the best thing to do to recruit new officers to keep officers that are already on the job?
There has to be more a raise. There has to be a raise. As of right now, they lowered the credits for college. It's not 60 credits anymore. I believe it's like 24. I'm not too sure offhand. So they're going to be getting more police officers in regards to that. So hopefully it works to the advantage.
And do you think that they will see the way the morale is? Do you think that a lot of people that would like to join the force would be dissuaded by the current morale under the current, well, it also was under the Adams administration, but now more so it's going to be under the Mamdani administration. Is that going to be a factor?
I believe so. Correct. And also, Mamdani wants to cut overtime, and that's not something that the police officers want. That's how they make their living.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
John, you put in 20 years, and out of that 20 years, is it safe to say that most of it was on the street, not behind a desk?
Yes, correct.
And in that 20 years, now, you also just recently retired. Did you notice, once Mamdani won that election, did you notice a big influx of people putting in for retirement, both police officers, detectives, the works?
Yes, many people did actually put in for retirement during that process.
I mean, Mamdani's whole, he doesn't hide it. He said he's not in favor of increasing the police force. Whoever leaves because they retire, he doesn't plan on replacing them. He wants social workers to do the job of the police officers. That's his new plan. We are going to be going into a commercial break, but when we come back, Mamdani's promises are already crumbling. So we're going to talk about not only the police and Mamdani's different stand on how he believes that the police, he doesn't give them the respect that
Well, Bonnie,
they deserve.
when we come back,
Yes.
I'd like to have John just tell us what he's running on, what his platform is, because basically it's not only common sense, but it's what any working person who lives and tries to raise a family in New York, what they would want. And I don't think, that transcends political party lines. And I'd like John to open up with what his platform is, what his ideas are, and what he would like to accomplish.
And that's going to be great. We'd love the insight on that. And we will be back when Red, Right, and True continues. Thank you for watching. We'll be right back.
Most people think they have options when searching for the best deals when they travel. But here's the shocking truth. 100% of the major travel agencies are owned by just two entities, Expedia and Booking Holdings. They claim to offer the lowest rates, but due to the hotel rate parity agreement, they all have the same pricing, limiting genuine competition. When you book through these sites, you act as your own travel agent, but the profits are going to organizations that don't support our patriot values. We cannot allow that to continue. So, we decided to make travel great again by starting a US-based travel membership platform, mypatriottravel.com. We are patriots helping patriots. Together, we can disrupt the travel industry by not spending our hard-earned dollars supporting the radical left. For just $29.99 per month, you gain access to true wholesale rates on travel, saving you on average 35% and up to 65%. Book as often as you like, with no limits. Keep your hard-earned dollars in your pocket and spend them on things you need and want to support. Go to mypatriottravel.com/TAFW and grab your membership today. mypatriottravel.com/TAFW, making travel great again.
Are you a true American? Then it's time to get connected. Download the America First Media and Television app and stay up to date with real news, bold voices, and live events from the America First Warehouse. From national broadcasts and exclusive shows to comedy nights, concerts, and special events. It's all right at your fingertips. No filters, no spin, just America First. Download the America First Media and Television app today and be part of the movement.
I'm sure you guys remember the platinum single Justice for All with Donald Trump and the J6 Prison Choir. Well, get ready for round two. We're coming out with Anthem of the Free with High Res and the J6 Prison Choir. It's coming out now. It's pre-sale until December 19th when it drops. Get yours on all platforms, Google Play, Apple iTunes. Get it. It's going to be hot.
Justice for all, our voices ring. The anthem of the free.
It's me, Joe the Box, the America First Warehouse, most patriotic venue in all the land.
The America First Warehouse, a beacon for all to see, a symbol of unity. For the patriots of America, we stand tall and free. In the America First Warehouse, where our hearts will always be.
Welcome back to the America First Warehouse with our weekly show, Red, Right, and True, with me, the Patriot Box, Bonnie Scalisi, Joe Curry, and a very special guest, John Riccatone. Hope I pronounced his name properly. John is running for Assembly in the, I believe it's the 27th?
47th.
47th district.
Now, the
And
47th
you-
district, really quick, where is that located?
That's going to be in Brooklyn. It's Bensonhurst, Bath Beach, Dyka Heights, Gravesend, and Midwood, parts of Midwood.
Great,
and
great.
parts of Coney Island or no?
No.
No.
Great.
And John, would you tell us what you're running on, what your platform is, what your ideas are, what you'd like to accomplish?
So my ideas are for working families, safer streets, school education, gifted and talented, special education, and after-school funding, and that's really what I'm looking for.
Well, how are you getting the vote out? Besides, like, is there something that we can do to help you from Long Island? Or do you have to, like, I remember, people knocking on people's doors. I don't know if you can do that anymore. People don't answer their doorbells. Do you leave, like, leaflets in the mailboxes? Like, how can people get your name recognized?
So once the petitions are ready, we have to go door to door. So that starts on the 24th of this month, which is February. So all the way up until April 2nd, we have to go door to door and get petitions from Republican voters only in our district, which would be Bath Beach, Bensonhurst, Dyka Heights, and Gravesend, and parts of Midwood.
Now, I have a question on the gifted program. Basically, there was a thing I was been reading in the paper that the gifted program is sort of coming under DEI. Where
Well, that was starting to happen back when I retired.
And that-
They were
and that's
already
an-
starting
and
that.
it's
that
an
was
interesting-
9 years ago.
Right, and that's an interesting thing where, if both of you, give a little insight on that.
Yeah, I just want to say that when I retired and I had the freedom of social media, I didn't know what social media was. And I got a Facebook page, and I went on my Facebook page, and I said, this is not fair what's happening with the gifted and talented, because a lot of the Asian students were being bumped, and they would spend all their time studying, like, that's what they did. And it wasn't right that because they weren't of a certain ethnicity, that they were being bumped. So I said it publicly, and all of the Asian parents were loving what I said. Because, again, it's like, it should be the person or young child who does the best at the test procedure the way the test is. You don't monitor the test for certain people to get in.
Absolutely, and people always say where it came in, well, it's always Asian kids, it's
And they
always
said it
Indian
was
kids.
too predominantly Asian and white.
And the thing about it is, it's Asian kids, it's Indian kids, and it's Jewish kids. And why it's not discrimination in that culture, in those households. Education is paramount.
Absolutely.
Is paramount, and that's why they excel. So the thing about it is that don't say, well, it's because it's right. No, it's not. Learn to make education in your home paramount.
I mean, I had firsthand experience when I first started. I taught kindergarten for many years, but I first started in second grade. And I remember I had new Asian students who didn't even speak English yet. And I had 20 words on a spelling list every week. And these kids would come up to take the test. They couldn't even understand English yet. And they would get 100 on the spelling test because they sat with their parents, they went over it, and then kids who spoke English and, they didn't do as well. And it's effort. It's basically what you get, what you put into it. And, I was amazed.
Well, I'd like to chime in here and say that, again, it shows just how important parents, plural, makes a difference in a child's life, how engaged they are with that child's education, and that you can't put it all on the teachers, you can't put it all on the schools. You need to get the parents to be active participants, supporting the kids, supporting the schools. And I think going back to, I'll say, the de Blasio administration, basically he ran on the fact that, we're going to provide daycare for your kids. And that idea of parents and teachers working together, I think that's an old idea that needs to come back.
Absolutely. Now, John, I got a question. With that in mind, when you set this program forth, do you anticipate pushback? And if you anticipate pushback, how would you combat the pushback trying to make this program successful with with kids that are deserving of being there?
Well, the fact is that Mayor Madani wants to cancel the gifted and talented classes for kindergarten. He said that they're too young and there's no test for that. So once he does that, he's going to actually go from the first grade to second grade and third grade. So it's an attack on the children for gifted and talented. So I would try to put it in law that, gifted and talented stands where it should. When a child is, overachieving, they shouldn't be penalized or, discriminated against for something that they believe in and what they do. The children, that's how it is.
Yeah, and if a teacher sees that in a child from kindergarten, it should be nurtured.
You could see it on like the second day.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, Bonnie, the first person to ask, when you were a kindergarten teacher, did you see children that were exceptional? And those children that were exceptional, did you try to nurture them?
Absolutely, absolutely. When I came in, the programs were more, you could take the curriculum and the teacher had a lot of say in how the curriculum went. Now, as I was leaving teaching, I used to love what I did, and then I actually grew to hate it because they made us do these programs that somebody was making tons of money off of them, and they were boring, and they were it was just, they took all the creativity and all the fun and all, there became a lot more behavior problems because the kids didn't enjoy what was going on. But back in my day, when they gave the teacher more leeway and they had confidence in the teacher, you could do a whole thing on Halloween, and the smart kid could be doing times tables in kindergarten as far as how many witches. You could do times tables, and the kids that aren't as good as math could do, you're just lining things up and count. So you could individualize it and make it fun for them.
Bonnie, that's a key word there, individual.
Individualize.
Again, instead of trying to standardize, socialize, and make everyone into the same box, pun intended, basically what Bonnie used to be able to do, and when she loved
And I
teaching,
loved it. And I used to spend so much money on it, of my own money.
Right. You could give both the child who was excelling and excellent in something, you could reinforce them, and the kid who needed the extra help, you knew what extra help they needed, and you had the freedom to do what you needed for each individual, as opposed to treating them all like one big socialist box.
No.
And also, as far as the parents go, the parents were involved. I used to ask them to be involved. And I would say, oh, our theme this month is Halloween. Sometimes parents would come in person and do like presentations. Sometimes they sent in books. Sometimes they sent in different like art materials. I mean, they loved being involved. And when you involved people, everyone benefits because the children see their own parents are getting excited about it. And really, what I saw when I was leaving was they didn't care what the teacher had to say. In fact, you were taught, shut your mouth. This is your program. You do it the way it says. We don't want to hear from you. They didn't even want the parents' input. The parents, at least they used to care about what the parents thought, as far as other districts.
Now, what did those programs entail? If you can give us a little synopsis of what those programs entail.
The ones that were forced on us?
Yes, please.
Oh, my God. I mean, like, just the math program itself. There would be homework that we had to give out from the math book. And this was kindergarten. And I would look at, I was an adult, and I'm not saying I'm the smartest adult, but even I was looking at it because it's not just regular math. It's like you dissect it, you turn it around. And,
Fortunately for Bonnie, there was enough Asian children there to tutor her, and she was able to go on with the class.
The parents were like, we don't understand this. We don't know how to do it. And I'm like, don't worry about it. Just, it was ridiculous. And then they would give you a workbook for each child, which they spent money on, and they'd be like, well, don't use the workbook. I'm like, well, why are you giving us the work? Like, anytime you had questions, don't ask us any questions. It was a nightmare. And then at the end, they took away rules, which I spoke about, I think, on a different podcast. In kindergarten, we used to spend 2 weeks on rules, because if you don't have a classroom that has control, you have chaos. And the last I spoke to my friends who were still teaching kindergarten, they said no rules. You're not allowed to do that to the children. They have feeling sticks.
But you're not disciplining them.
So there's no discipline. The kids are running around the classroom. From what I heard, sometimes they stand on the desks and the teachers have to go, show me your feeling stick. I mean, this is what I heard a couple of years ago. I've kind of lost contact with some of my teacher friends that kept me in the know. So I don't know. I kept saying it can't get any worse. And they're like, oh, yes, it can. It's much worse.
You know what,
So, John, do you know what's going on?
I wanted to ask
go ahead,
John a
Patriot
question.
Box.
Basically, I love what John stands for, what his platform is. He made reference to the fact that he's got to go door to door. John, do you have enough signatures right now to run, or are you still in the process of gathering those? What can we do to help get you on the ballot and elected?
So it's going to start on February 24th, so I'm going to need additional help in regards. So that's what I need to do, go door to door throughout like 5 different neighborhoods in Bensonhurst and have Republican voters sign the petitions. And that's when I would be able to get on the ballot.
Is there a place that people meet, as far as where you could get these ballots?
Or a link or a website where they can go.
Where they can
to
go, or a
volunteer
link, yes.
To knock on doors.
Yes.
So on my Facebook page, it's going to be John
what's your Facebook
Riccatoni
page?
for Assembly, District 47. And they could join that, and then we're going to meet up on Saturday. This Saturday we're going to meet up. I just don't have the location as of yet, offhand. So once I have that, I'll put it on my Facebook page. And then if anybody wants to come down and help, it'll be greatly appreciated. It actually starts February 24th, and it goes on until April 2nd.
Very good. Very
And you
good.
can also put that in the comments of this podcast. Type in where people could just press the button and go straight to the link, and then they could sign from there as well. So you can find this podcast on, we are the America First Warehouse, the greatest venue in the land. Stay tuned. We're going to have more with John Riccatoni, and we're going to talk about Mandani, because I really want to talk about him. Thanks.
Have you noticed your money just doesn't stretch like it used to? Your paycheck feels lighter, and your savings aren't growing. The culprits? Inflation and increased money supply. They've both been quietly eating away at your purchasing power for years. Today, the dollar's value has dropped significantly. You feel it every time you spend money on goods and services. Back in 1965, $1 or an ounce of silver could buy you a gallon of milk. Fast forward to today. That same dollar barely buys a couple of coffee creamers, while an ounce of silver would get you 8 gallons of milk. Gold and silver have held their value for centuries. If you had 2,500 ounces of silver back in 1965, you could buy a brand new Ford Mustang. Today, 2,500 ounces of silver would buy you 2 Mustangs. Similarly, in the year 2000, 628 ounces of gold would buy a new $170,000 home. Today, 628 ounces would buy you a $2,500,000 home. The problem? 95% of Americans don't own physical gold or silver. They think it's too complicated and too expensive, but it doesn't have to be. We offer a membership program that allows you to buy gold or silver with as little as $1. You can buy fractional amounts, safely vault them, or have them delivered to your doorstep, and you can liquidate them whenever you want at the highest buyback price in the industry. Ready to protect your wealth and keep your purchasing power? Scan the QR code or go to tafw.soundmoney.com to learn more.
If the vote count is accurate, then how come the number of voters is different? And if it's not accurate, then why was it certified? We are suing Letitia James and the New York State Board of Elections for a conspiracy against fundamental rights. This is not about who won, it's not about what party, it's about the fact that they don't care about your rights.
All right, live from Studio 6B on a Friday night, live at the America First Warehouse. Live at the America First Warehouse on a Friday, Real America's Voice, all across the country, 103.9 LI News Radio, all across your radio, Suffolk County, Long Island. Glad you're in.
It's me, Joe the Box. And I'm John the Blanket with the America First Podcast.
That's what I'm talking about, the Fred Rubino Podcast.
I'm James Justice. We got Stephen Ruth over here. What are we doing, Steve? Fighting!
Welcome to the Patriots Podcast. Good evening, everyone.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the On the Right Side podcast here at the America First Warehouse.
Welcome to Liberty's Cage, the podcast tearing down the walls of America's broken justice system.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Downey Jr. podcast. Be free, stay free.
Welcome back to the America First Warehouse with Red, Right, and True. On the break, I'm here with Bonnie Scalisi, Joe Curry, and our guest, John Riccatone.
Riccatoni.
And we were talking about the latest news, and Mandami, what was on today's news is, he wants to raise property taxes on the people in New York, the people who voted him in, by approximately 10%. So that he ran on a platform of making the city more affordable, but he's going to raise your property taxes by 10%. So, and that doesn't just affect homeowners. That affects the people who, if you live in a two-family house and you're renting, guess what? If your landlord's taxes went up by 10%, your rent has to go up too. So this is just pointing out the nonsense of his make-believe promises. He promised things that he couldn't deliver on, and now he's doing exactly the opposite of what he promised people. He's making things more unaffordable in New York. Sean, what would you like to say about that?
Me?
Yeah.
So it needs to be more affordable. As of right now, it's unaffordable, and now it's going to be extremely unaffordable with the raise going up, and nobody's going to be able to afford to live in New York City, so they're going to end up leaving, and that's not going to help anybody. It's very dangerous that the tax is going to be high, it's not affordable, and we need to do something about that.
And I have a question as far as, why do the Democrats keep voting in these people who make the city worse? And this seems to be in every blue state. Like, if something's not working, how bad does it have to get for them to vote a different way? It's, again, do these people not have common sense? Like, anybody take that question, because it's just, I'm floored. It's happening with Newsom in California. It's happening here in New York. They voted this guy in. He's a joke.
I'm going to take a stab at this. This isn't the only reason. Again, certain people are just going to vote Democrat because that's their ideology. Mom voted for that. My grandfather did, and that's just what they do. But there's another thing, and it's always in the blue cities and voter fraud. I believe it was Georgia. They found 15,000 illegal ballots. They had no signature and no serial number on them. 15,000.
What election? What was that? The Trump election
2020.
against Biden?
Yes.
Yeah.
The one that they tried to sue Giuliani over?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know,
absolutely.
I think if we just took the dead people off the voter rolls, that in and of itself would, I'm not saying that the Republicans would have a majority or anything even close to it, but by just removing all the fraud would at least give, when you get a good Republican like John here, who it would give him a chance. You know, I don't think John, I don't think he has as many friends as there are dead people voting for Democrats.
Well, the Democratic Party has always relied on the government. We're going to take care of you. We're going to be better. And basically, I said this last week, where the Democratic Party, they go out and they have hope. And you've seen all of them. You've seen Hillary. You've seen Kamala. We have hope. Obama, we hope. We want hope. Because what happens is they're going to raise your taxes. They're not going to deliver. When the election cycle comes around again, we have hope. Well, how do they keep the Democratic Party going? What they're doing is bringing in illegal aliens and having the illegal aliens and then giving them a pathway to citizenship. So let me get this straight. I came to America. You gave me a cell phone. You gave me a hotel. You give me a pathway to citizenship. I'm here illegal. You bet I'm going to vote Democratic every election. The Republican Party is a Republican Party, has always been a party of you helping yourself. You and then giving tax breaks and giving tax breaks and incentives where you can help yourself. There's going to be a tax cut this year, which is amounting to almost $1,000 per person. And once people see that, I think they might get the idea. And what I also said last week, and maybe you'd agree with me on here, we really need to concentrate on the midterms now. And we really have to knock down the Democratic narrative that they have against the Republican Party. We need to show everything, all the differences the Republican Party are making since Trump took office, and we need to do it now.
Well, I definitely want to speak to that point, but Patriot Box, could you also talk about what Mandami is doing with the corporate tax as well?
Well, basically, he's going to probably raise property taxes by 10%. He had two other solutions. He would either put a tax on billionaires and try to make up the deficit that way.
Which Hochul rejected.
Or he would put an additional tax on corporations. Guess what? If you put an additional tax on corporations, they leave. They leave this great city, and again, you create a mess. And we need to stop this. You know, by the way, one of the other things Mandami said, that the problem for this deficit, he blamed his predecessors, de Blasio, Adams, all Democrats. You know, so it's not his fault that he doesn't know how to manage. It's everyone in the past did this. And in the meantime, he's making things worse.
Yeah, and also the thing about corporations, and you'll hear this from a lot of the left liberals, whether it's Starbucks, whether it's McDonald's, whether it's Price Waterhouse, all corporations care about is profits. They're supposed to. That's what they're based on.
And they also give people jobs, people need jobs.
Yeah, and what's going to happen is that these companies are going to leave the unemployment, unless you go along and move along with them. That is going to proliferate, and it's going to be a major problem. And also another thing about, with taxes, basically Roosevelt, when the New Deal, what he did was he was doing the same thing Mandani did. He is going to tax the very rich, and they're going to tax them. And what happened is they found loopholes, and then they had a deficit, a shortfall that they're going to be having now. So what happened? It came back on the middle class. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're wondering how you wind up paying your taxes, and it's always been the government and the taxes, that is because of Roosevelt rolling it back with these people finding the loopholes, and it's going to happen again in New York City. You're going to find out, and it's going to be a very rough going. We're probably going to, our bond rating, Patriot Box, I think our bond rating is probably going to drop almost to junk. So this is everything that we're foretelling that's going to be coming up.
Yeah, people love to hate on corporations. Let's hate those corporations. I've worked for a lot of corporations, and one thing I could tell you is I've gotten a lot of jobs from corporations. I've never once gotten a job from someone on welfare.
Yes.
Absolutely. But, John, what do you think about living in the city? I think that many people are fleeing. They're the ones who can afford to go are leaving. And then you're going to have the super rich who don't really care how expensive things get. And then it's going to, basically, they're losing the middle class. And when you lose the middle class, that's when your city is in real trouble. What are your thoughts on that, John?
That's what's happening right now. It already happened. Once Mandani got elected, a lot of people left New York City due to the fact that he was elected and what he stands for, socialism and everything that he wants, free buses. It's not going to happen.
And it didn't happen, right?
Nope.
So
I'm still waiting for my bag of groceries from the free grocery store.
And that's not going to happen even. I was discussing last week that every supermarket, Gristedes, Key Food, Stop and Shop, King Cullen, they work on a 4% gross margin. That's all. So when people go, oh, they're making money hands off. No, they're not. 4% gross margin also on food that most of it, I would say maybe 25 to 30% of it, is perishable. So you need management that knows how to move the food, make sure that they sell, that 4% without a lot of waste. Do you think the Mandani administration is going to do that? Let me tell you about government. They did
a great job with the snow, Joe.
They did a great job with the snow, and John lives there. So, John, have you heard anything about a supermarket with free stuff?
Supposedly they opened one in Manhattan.
So one store so far.
So far.
For all the people.
But it's just another way of a pantry. Instead of people going outside and getting a pantry, waiting on lines around blocks, it's going to be like a supermarket where it's the same way.
That'll be great.
So they have to wait in long line. Go ahead, Patriot Box.
Mandami may be onto something. I'm sure based on his plan to feed New York City, he's going to get rid of a lot of the obesity problem in the same swoop.
It's the same way he's getting rid of the homeless problem. Just let them freeze to death.
Yeah.
You know, that'll take care of that, I mean,
And their rights are still respected.
Yeah, but going back to the supermarkets, what do you think your choices in that supermarket are going to be?
you're going to get whatever they give you.
You're going to get whatever they give you, and basically it's only going to be in a certain area. Now, what happens is, what if other supermarkets in that area decide, well, we have this government-run entity, they're going there, they're going to leave. And then what's going to happen is what a lot of people in communities are complaining about, that they've been abandoned and they're leaving because they don't, also with shoplifting and because the stores can't make a profit. Also on crime, this is going to happen a lot more. So what does a place like CVS or Duane Reade do? They're not going to sit there and, have
They lock everything up.
They're going to lock
so
everything
again,
up.
John, you live there. Like when you go into CVS and you want to buy whatever deodorant, you have to get somebody to unlock the
You
thing
actually
for
have
you.
to press a button
That's
and wait
insane.
for them to come.
I
That
got to tell
is
you,
insane.
I was in a Dollar Tree not long ago, and they had things locked up. Have we really degraded that much where now we have to lock up the items that they sell at the Dollar Tree?
Yeah, I was at a Dollar Tree over in Rocky Point about 6 months ago, and this guy almost plowed me over running out. And then right after him, people going, stop. The guy was robbing the store. I wish I knew what he was doing. I would have probably tripped him or whatever, and he probably would have beat me to a pulp. But anyway, but still, this is what is
Well,
starting
you would have gotten sued if you tripped that guy.
I most likely would have.
Because anybody who tries to stop people who are doing the wrong thing, they're the ones that get in trouble. Michael knows a whole story about the police
Patriot Box,
officer,
you mean.
Patriot Box.
Thank
Sorry.
you, Bonnie.
I'm outing Patriot Box. He knows a whole story about what happened to different police and different things when they are or even citizens who are just helping other citizens. They end up getting in trouble, and
Look,
the person
we had,
who's the
Not
criminal.
too long ago, we had an American Marine who went to the aid of a bunch of people on a subway train. He was unarmed. There was a crazy man with a rap sheet a mile long.
We want to hear this story, but we will
We're
be
going to
back.
wrap it up for right now. Wrap it up for this segment. We'll
Yes.
be
All
right
right,
back.
we'll be right back.
We'll be right back.
You've worked hard and saved, but inflation and increased money supply are eroding your buying power. Protect and grow your wealth with physical gold and silver. Sound Money. With a Sound Money wallet, your wealth stays in your control. Buy fractionally, vault securely, ship directly, and instantly liquidate your gold and silver at the highest buyback price in the industry. Real money, real ownership. Visit tafwsoundmoney.info or scan the QR code and start securing your financial future today.
The America First Ultra MAGA Store. For all your MAGA needs. We sell t-shirts, tumblers, flags, hats, sneakers, bumper stickers, and a whole lot more. The most patriotic America First retail store. The America First Ultra MAGA Store.
Live from Studio 6B on a Friday night, live at the America First Warehouse. Live at the America First Warehouse on a Friday, Real America's Voice, all across the country, 103.9 LI News Radio, all across your radio, Suffolk County, Long Island. Glad you're in.
Corporate transfer. Fine professional, moving and storage, and inventory management.
First Warehouse was really the most patriotic venue that you can ever imagine. We wanted to build something for people to be able to come to and feel so comfortable and so relaxed, because there is nothing out there like it. We give an opportunity for people to really feel good about themselves and about this great country.
Welcome back to the America First Warehouse. We're live with Red, Right, and True. And just before the break, we were talking about doing the right thing. Joe said he saw a shoplifter running. He said, I should have tripped him if I only knew. Well, the world has gotten so crazy. John mentioned there was a Marine named Penny. He decided to jump in, help other people who were being harassed and threatened by a mentally disturbed person, had off a long rap sheet, put him in a chokehold. That person ultimately died, and they tried Penny, a Marine, man who served this country, they tried to charge him with murder. Fortunately, he was acquitted. But the legal system in New York, it doesn't, in my opinion, does not support our police. It does not support the people, the good people who work and are trying to make a living here. Not just a real quick story. A gentleman, 67 years old, he was a doorman. He was attacked by a career criminal. Guy rushed him with a knife. Basically, the doorman had a handgun and shot the person. They didn't charge the doorman, this retired 67-year-old, they didn't charge him with murder or homicide because he was defending his life, but he's going to do 4 years in jail because he had illegal guns. Now, those guns, if you cross the border into Pennsylvania, they're completely legal. He owned the guns legally, and, again, these draconian laws that we have against guns and the way we treat our innocent people and versus giving all these extra rights, worrying more about the criminals than the victims. What are we going to do to change that? That's the problem I see.
That is so well said, Patriot Box. And as far as the Penny case goes, they had witnesses on the train that, went in court and said, we feared for our lives. And if it wasn't for him, we probably would have been murdered. And even though there were several witnesses that of all ethnicities standing up for Penny, he still was under this scrutiny.
He went on trial.
He went on trial.
I also want to say that Madani wants to send social workers before they send police to emotionally disturb people. That's what he wants to do.
You're going to have, I always thought of that scenario where there's a guy with a gun and they send the social worker in. It's like, well, what do you say? You go in there, do something. Well, he's got a gun. You got a couch. Go in there. Here's your little noisemaker. Go in. Help you come back. Well, where are you guys going to be? Back here with the guns. It just doesn't make sense what's going on. With where in these communities where there is so much crime, they're not those communities are not addressing the crime situation. They keep going back on discrimination and racism, and they're not addressing the true thing that in a lot of these communities, there's no father figure, there's no semblance of self-respect, there's no semblance of consequence. And consequence is a big thing. And when you have no consequence, you have lawlessness. So what they're doing, and then the people that are trying to defend themselves from this element are the ones that are being persecuted. John, as a former police officer, you see a lot of that in those communities where they're not addressing the real reason for crime?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
And also, in a certain area in Brooklyn, they have a secluded area for like 3 or 4 block radius where police officers are not allowed to police there unless it's some kind of like homicide or a robbery or something like that.
Why is that?
Wow, I never heard
They
of
don't want
that.
the police involved at that location.
Who doesn't want the police involved?
The mayor, Mayor
Really?
Madani. Yep.
It's all, and the crime rates are going to go through the roof.
Yeah, I mean, as far as crimes go, it's just rewarding the criminal, because even if they are found guilty and they go to jail, the sentences are so light, they get out right away. So as Joe
They don't even
Curry
go
was
to
saying,
jail. They don't even stay overnight. The bail list system has
Yeah.
arranged for that.
They've made it so easy for the criminal, even if they're caught and brought to the station house, And you would know more about that, John.
That was cashless bail, and wasn't that under Mayor,
Yes.
I'm sorry, that was under Andrew Cuomo, if I'm correct.
Cuomo did that.
Now,
as
how
well.
did cashless bail, we could see it, but detail how that has affected the crime rate since that was instituted.
Well, somebody could be charged with a robbery, and they're getting out the same day or the next day. It depends on how many people are in the system. And then they do it again, and until they murder somebody, then they'll be put in behind bars. So it's a long process with the robbery and burglary suspects. They just get out,
And
roam the street.
And the judges just let them go?
That's what happens, yep.
That percentage-wise, how much has that driven crime up since has been instituted?
I would have to get back to you about the
Well,
percentage-wise,
Joe,
but it's
but
very...
I'm gonna just jump in here, and first I'm gonna say that 68.7% of all statistics are made up on the spot. But not counting that, seriously. If you have someone who's a burglar, who's a robber, and you let them out on cashless bail, you've already just let out the guy who's the criminal. So you put him right back on the street. He's going to go right back to what he's doing. You know, at least when you would pull these people off the street and lock them up for a period of time, there was one less predator on the street. Now they churn them out. They don't even get a slap on the wrist. They're churned out. And they do it over and over and over again. And why shouldn't they? There's no consequences.
Right, and pardon my being naive, do they actually come back to the court date?
They were offered free Mets tickets, free Yankees tickets, so maybe they do go back to the next court date.
But if they come back
They
to court,
reward
get
them.
Yes,
Yes,
they
we
reward
Oh,
them
my
to come
God.
back.
Well, let me tell you something. As a Mets fan, giving them Mets tickets from last season, that should have been corporal punishment.
The victims always get victimized.
I mean, I know we only have 5 minutes left, but I just also wanted to talk about the indoctrination of the children in the school system, because you're on the board, you served in there, and they give the PTA in the New York City school system, you know, they don't listen to them the way they used to listen to them in the past, and all of the things that they should be teaching the children, reading, writing, arithmetic, they're teaching them LBGQ, they're teaching, I mean, I wanted to get into this whole thing where they actually walked out of the classroom in protest of ICE and how disgusting that is. I don't think we have time to get into that, but John, do you have kids that are still school age? And
Yes, I do. My daughter's 11 years old.
I don't know if that was citywide, but I know that many places in the city, the teachers took the children out during school time to protest ICE. That's a political statement, and teachers should not be making any kind of, I don't know if the teachers were told they had to do that. I don't know what do you know anything about that as far
I
as the
haven't heard anything about that
Yeah,
yet.
but that did happen, and it happened on Long Island, it happened all over the country. And here's the thing, we pay some of the highest taxes in the country here on Long Island.
Yeah.
And a majority of that, I would say a good 90% of that, is school taxes. So what are we paying school taxes for our kids to go out and protest something that should really be not even in the schools? That seems to me be a part of an agenda of the teachers or maybe the principals. Those principals should be fired in those schools. They have no right, and as somebody that's paying, you know, thousands and thousands of dollars in taxes, that's not where the tax money should go. You educate my kid. You make sure they right from wrong. You make sure that they learn how to get into college, not even how to survive life. You teach them economics. You teach them home ec. You bring back shop class. You teach them, and that's another thing.
Well, you're supposed to teach the children how to think, not what to think.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing, is now they just teach the children, you know, follow me, this is what you say. They're into the social media. They're being brainwashed by the social media. And if you have a child, thank God for the Turning Point USA that are starting to show up in schools, in colleges, because a lot of the children that were not going along with this, that were being bullied because they are MAGA or they love their country, and if they God forbid they went against it, they were, you know, ostracized. And when you're a child, you want to belong to the group. You want to be part of what's going on. So the voices are growing against this, but it is definitely on the agenda, in my opinion. It's a socialist ideology that they're pushing, a brainwashing thing that they're pushing on the children. And the parents are so busy working, they don't have time to really know what's going on with their children, as it's a two-working family. And unfortunately, the children are being raised by the school, and they're starting, and they're being, at a young age, they're being told how to think.
Yes, and also that, bring back vocational skills. We need plumbers, we need electricians, we need carpenters, we need auto mechanics. Bring those vocational skills back into the school, which they still have on Long Island, but give that, like Wilson Tech, give even more classes an opportunity. But we're going to be wrapping up. John, if you want to give your plug where they could find you.
Sure. I just want to say one more thing. The Senate and Assembly actually is pushing a bill for comprehensive sex education for 5-year-olds and up.
Oh, my God.
So you could find me on Facebook, John Riccatoni.
And could you spell your last name?
John is my first name. Last name is Riccotone. For Assembly, District 47 is my Facebook page. And I will be putting up the location to meet on Saturday so we could discuss where we're going to go for the petitions. And if there's anybody that would like to join, let me know.
Very good, very good.
Thank you.
Also, Saturday, February 21st, there's going to be a counter-protest caravan. These are against the radical left planning to de-ice Nassau County. And we need to speak up because ICE is doing incredible work. It's going to meet up at 10:30 a.m. at the Belmore, Long Island train station, and there's going to be a rollout at 11 o'clock. Come on down and show your support. Also, big part of the America First Warehouse is our pal Gino Bisconte. Yes. Gino is going to be at Governor's Comedy Club in Levittown
We're going to go and watch him.
Beautiful. Friday, February 20th at 8 p.m. For reservations and info, call 516-731-3358 or go to govs.com. Also, would like to thank our sponsors. We have TAFW Sound Money Wallet at tfwsoundmoney.com, My Patriot Travel at mypatriottravel.com, My Pillow, mypillow.com, Tallow Honey Gold, tallowhoneygold.com, and come to the America First Warehouse and check us out. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. You have a great night.
First Warehouse, a beacon for all to see, a symbol of hope, a symbol of unity. For the patriots of America, we stand tall and free in the America First Warehouse, where our hearts will always be. The America First Warehouse, a beacon for all to see, a symbol of hope, a symbol of unity. For the patriots of America, we stand tall